Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video today to learn more about accessible images. Today I'm going to be going over the specifics as far as images are concerned in accessibility work, and then also showing you how to create an accessible image. I have a document here that is in Microsoft Word as my example today. And in regards to images being accessible, the first thing that you need to make sure is that all images in any of your content, especially in documents and also presentations if you're sharing slides, they need to have alt text or alternative text. And what alt text is, it's a description of what the image is. Any relevant information in that image also needs to be in the alt text, especially if there's text in that image that you want your viewers to know. So in order to make an image accessible and providing that alt text, I'm going to go to an image in this document that's up in the header. I'm just going to click in the header. And all you have to do is you click on that image, you right click on it, and then it brings up an options list right here, and you will just click on edit alt text. It's down at the bottom of the list. It's the third to the bottom. So I'm going to click on edit alt text, and it will bring up this box off to the right hand side in Microsoft Word that reads alt text. And so I'm going to add my alt text for this particular image. And since this is a logo that has text as well as a shape within this image, then I want my viewers to know what this is if they're using a screen reader or if they require alt text within images. I've included the name of the logo, the type of shape and where it is in this image, as well as what the text reads. And in your alt text, you need to make sure that you're including all relevant information that you want your viewers to know in regards to this image. Since I've included this alt text, all that I have to do within Microsoft Word is click on the X in this right-hand corner of the alt text option. And another way to find the alt text is, since this is an image, it automatically brings up picture tools up at the top and it highlights the format tab. What I'm going to do is click on that format tab, and directly below where it reads format on that tab is the option for alt text, and it has something that reads accessibility underneath that. And all I have to do is just click on alt text and it will bring up that alt text option pane. If I wanted this image to be decorative, and what I mean by decorative is that if you don't need your viewers to know what this image is, if it's purely just there for decoration and there's no relevant information to your document, to whatever's going on, all you have to do again is just make sure you go into alt text, either in the format tab, or if you right click on your image and click on edit alt text. And within the edit alt text pane, you just want to click on the box that's underneath generate a description for me, that the box has right next to it the words mark as decorative, and you just click on that box. And then therefore, what this is going to communicate to screen reading technology, this is going to say, do not read this image because this is purely decoration and it does not need to be read. The next thing that you're going to want to make sure that your images are doing within your document in order to be accessible is that your images are in line with the text. And this is just going to be an error that comes up if your images aren't in line with the text. And actually, there's 3 different ways of going about this. Once you click on your image, it will bring up a square box off to the side. And if you hover over it, it reads layout options. This box has horizontal lines and a curved shape. And also, if you click on that, what it's going to bring up is multiple options of how to position this image on the page. And the first option right here, it reads inline with text. And the other options are with text wrapping. Since this image is selected in front of the text, we are going to click on inline with text. One of the other ways that you could go about this is clicking on your image, right-clicking on that image as well. And then in the list of options, you're going to want to go down to where it reads wrap text. And then it brings up a list of options. And the first option is inline with text. You're going to click on that. And then the last way that you could go about this is, since we clicked on the image again, it brings up the picture tools and above the format tab, you're going to click on format. And then right next to where it reads alt text, there's two selections that you can choose. And the second one is wrap text. You'll click on wrap text. And again, it brings up that options list. The first option is inline with text. So in this version of this document in Google Docs, we have one image on the front page. And what we're going to do is click on that image. And we're going to right click on that image. And just like Microsoft Word, it brings up a list of options. And the option that you're going to want to click on is alt text. It's in this second box. It's the last option, the fourth option, and it has a symbol of a person and the text that reads alt text. I'm going to click on alt text. And what I'm going to put here in this alt text box is what this image is. So I'm going to put in the title as well as the description box. And in order to apply that alt text, I'm going to click on OK. If you wanted to change the positioning of this image, what you'd want to do is, again, right click on that image. You'll want to go down to the option that reads image options, click on that. And then you'll want to make sure that you click on text wrapping. It brings up a couple of styles for this image, and you'll want to ensure that inline with text is selected. And then there is another way of going about this. When you click on your image, it's going to bring up some options up here on your taskbar that read image options as well as replace image. And what you're going to do is just click on image options. Again, it will bring up the options pane off to the right-hand side. And by default, it's selected as text wrapping for me. But if it's not, you just want to click on text wrapping, and then you'll want to make sure that inline with text is selected. So you can actually also apply alt text to images that you place into emails through Gmail. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to click on the image, and this brings up a box of options, 5 options below the image. What you're going to want to do is click on the fourth option that reads edit alt text, and it brings up a box with the alt text option as well as the description. And by default, what the alt text is selecting is the file name. And where this is an issue is because if someone is utilizing a screen reader to read this email, they won't know exactly what this image is. So you're going to change the alt text to read exactly what this image is. And once we have that alt text, what we're going to click on is the apply button. As a recap, again, all images in your document need alt text if they are relevant to your content. If they are not relevant to your content, if you are just including an image in your document, in your content as decoration, please make sure that you mark that box, especially if you're using Microsoft Word, and mark as decorative. If alt text goes beyond the limit of 1 or 2 sentences, if there's long text within that image that you need your viewers to know, but you do not want to place it into the alt text box, you can include an image description below that image. And lastly, again, to avoid an error message in your document, you want to make sure that your images are in line with text. Thank you so much again for clicking on this video today to learn more about accessibility tips and creating accessible images. If you have any questions in regards to creating accessible images and are facing or experiencing any confusion while doing these tips, please feel free to reach out to me. My name is Courtney. I am the CWDS Accessibility and Compliance Remediation Coordinator, and you can email me at cketchum@sdsu.edu. Thank you so much for your continued interest in accessibility. This is, again, important because whether you are in a conversation or if you are training either as an Academy staff member, a CWDS staff member, or a service provider training through us, you may be in situations where you have participants or talking to individuals with a disability that require accessible documents or accessible electronic content in order to engage in the conversation or engage and participate in your training event. So thank you so much for learning more. And thank you for all the continued work that you do, whether for the Academy, as an internal staff member or even as an external service provider. We appreciate your continued partnership and all the work that you do. Thank you so much and have a great day.